Hey, happy Saturday to you. Hope you're having yourself a great day. My name is Eric, and you're watching Eric's Crypto Corner. I'm a tax accountant with over 17 years experience in that industry, and I've been in the crypto space for about 5 years, buying, selling, mining, and doing some AI GPU rentals. Let's go ahead and start today's video. All right, so my last short video I did kind of went over how one of my rigs is doing some Monero mining now, and one of my rigs is doing Salad AI. I had asked in that video if anybody had any desire in doing like a CPU mining how-to video using unMineable. I did have a person reach out and say, yeah, that would really be helpful if you could do that. So that's what today's video is going to be all about, is how to mine really any kind of crypto on unMineable. And I'm going to go through that process kind of with a step-by-step video here. Now, before you do any kind of mining, I don't care if you're doing GPU, ASIC, CPU mining, whatever it is, you can pop out to Hashrate.no, and this is going to tell you kind of your profitability. And you can look at GPUs. Basically it's going to say, hey, if you had a 6800 XT right now, you'd be making, oh, look at that, zero profit every single day by mining Quai. A 4070 Ti, you can do Grin and lose 5 cents a day. And up in the top right gear, which we've dealt with before, you put in your power up there, and it basically shows you how much profits you're going to have. So make sure you put in your power on the top right corner. Mine's 15 cents per kilowatt hour, so you can get some accurate results here. Now, when I come over to CPUs, and we can briefly look at ASICs here, that pretty much nothing is profitable mining at home, at all. So I'm going to come down to CPUs. Now, what started me on this little CPU journey was Monero has hit all-time highs. It was like a week ago or like 4 or 5 days ago or something that Monero was really popping. And, some other YouTubers were kind of making the comments about it. I'm like, well, I haven't mined Monero in a long time. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now, I'm not going to go out and buy new hardware. And honestly, I wouldn't recommend you buy a whole lot of new hardware either. I think that this is more of a hobby thing. Unless if you have free power, a lot of solar or something like that, living in your mom's basement, whatever. I'm not going to go out and buy a bunch of new hardware here, but I do have some existing hardware kind of laying around. And when I came down to my 5700X CPU, which cost me like, I don't know, $150, I was like, oh, 20 cents a day. So when I click on it, you can see Monero here is about a 15 or 17 cent per day profit. And it tells you your expected hash rate and how much power you should be using and everything else. And I'm like, okay, well, this is good. This is not terrible. Like, I'm not going to really make any money doing this because I know, number one, I'm never going to get the optimal hash rate. I know that. I've never been able to get 10.3 or higher CPU, but I figured, hey, if I can get like 8 to 9, that'd be pretty good. And the 65 watt power right here is really not super honest. It's only including the power of the CPU. It's not including the power of the motherboard. It's not including the power of the graphics card if you have to use one, which obviously you have to with this particular CPU, the RAM, the power supply, everything else. I actually have to throw on 100 watts. So really, I'm not making a profit of 17 cents. I'm actually making less than that. In fact, I'm losing money. Now, we'll take a look at that a little bit later, but I just want to let you know where you kind of got to start before you decide, should I really be mining or should I not be mining? Look up the hardware that you have. Go to Hashrate.no, see if anything catches your eye. And even if there's something that's like, wow, well, really, I should buy an Epic 9754 CPU, because I make $1.50 a day. Well, that's great, but it's like a $3,000 processor or something. So, no, thank you. I don't need to make $1 a day on a $3,000 investment. But if you've got something laying around, either on a PC that you just have, or maybe some old mining equipment, or some salad stuff that's sitting idle, this is a good opportunity for you to take a look and mine some Monero. Okay, so once we've made our decision, I think I'm going to go ahead and mine some Monero. Then it really just comes down to how do I mine it? And you really have two options. You can either mine Monero at like a mining pool and get paid in Monero. There are a lot of them out there. Or you can do something like unMineable. And this is what I really, really like about unMineable is that I can mine Monero. I don't want Monero. There's nothing about Monero that speaks volumes to me in my sleep that I must own it. So I really would like to get Monero, but paid in something else. And so many of these crypto projects out there, it's really difficult to mine something, get paid in that, and then swap that out to something else. I find that very, very painful. I find the tax component of that painful. I find the physical component of that painful. Swapping is just painful to me. I don't want to do it anytime that I don't have to do it. So this is a situation where I don't have to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and use unMineable, and we're going to pop over to the website here. And actually, we can go downstairs to the basement. We'll just start doing it so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I am downstairs using my camera phone instead of the nice setup I have on my main PC upstairs, but nonetheless, I think you'll get the concept here. We're going to first start going out to the unMineable website. So you just go ahead and open up a browser. We're going to go over to unMineable. And what we're going to do here is, it looks a little bit blurry on my screen. Maybe it is on yours too, but you'll still get the general concept here, is that we're going to scroll down a little bit here. And on the right-hand side, they've got this Get Started with Our Guided Setup. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And what we're going to see here is two options. We can do basic or advanced setup, and this is kind of like the progress bar over here on the left-hand side. I always do advanced. I want more control and settings, so I've done advanced. Now you can either mine at unMineable with a graphics card or a CPU. You can do ASICs too, but that's a different setup wizard. I'm going to do CPU because we're mining Monero today. Now here we have Monero, random XMR base, or you can do Ghostwriter. We're doing Monero. And now here's where your first real decision is. You're going to mine Monero, but unMineable doesn't pay you out by default in Monero. You can pick any crypto you want. This is the big advantage for me from unMineable is I don't have to mine something I think is a garbage project or I don't have faith in. I can mine something and get paid in something else. Now, the only caveat to this, and there's a lot, there's Digibyte, Dogecoin, Ergo, Ethereum you can get paid out in. They've even got Octaspace. They've even got meme coins down here, dog with hat, when, things like that. So you can pick whichever crypto you want to get paid in, but the key is here for me, pick something you like, number one. And number two, make sure that the thresholds on the payout are not totally ridiculous. So if you're mining and making 30 cents a day, like we're doing with our CPU on our Monero mining here, I don't want to get a minimum payout of like $30. That would take 100 days, to get paid out. I don't want to wait 100 days to get paid out. And so some of these like Bitcoin and some other ones, they have much higher payout thresholds. Whereas I found that Litecoin, Cardano, and some of these other ones have very low thresholds. So like Litecoin will pay me out 30 cents a day. I would rather just get paid out every day than getting paid out once every 3 to 6 months. That's just me. Now, if you have a different preference and you want to do something different, that's your choice. But for me, I'm picking Litecoin. You can pick whatever you want. Now you got to put in your wallet address for your Litecoin. If you're doing Litecoin, if you're doing Cardano, put in your Cardano, Bitcoin, whatever. You know what I mean. So here's my Litecoin address. I'm going to click on next. And then you get to pick where do you want to mine to. Now you want to mine to the place that's closest to you. They do have a global auto select option here, but I'm not stupid. I live in the United States. I know Europe is farther away from me than the United States, and I know Asia is farther away than too, so I'm going to pick US. You pick whatever you guys want. You can pick SSL here. I struggle, with the SSL probably because of the way that things are ported with my network here, probably with security. So I always pick the normal 3333, port, and you can just put in your unMineable worker name. So here I'll just put in like a AMD 5700X CPU or something. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it Fred, Friday, I don't care, whatever you call it. And then here our next thing is going to be referral code. We're going to continue without, and then bingo bango, you've finished. You can now start mining basically with the code that they've given you here. Now they're basically saying, here are the two miner files that you're going to need to download if you do XMR or Xmrig or SRB miner. This is the code that you would need to use in order to start that miner in Windows. Now make sure you're picking the Windows tab here. I'm using Windows, you're using Linux, go ahead and use that. So the first thing I got to do is I'm like, okay, well, I've got the code here, but I need the actual miner files. So I'm going to go ahead and click on download miner files. And that is going to bring up the basically the Xmrig, website here. Now, here's the version. I think we have to scroll down a little bit. Yep. So here's our assets down here. Now, since I'm mining on a Windows machine, we need the Windows file. So I'm looking at show all 14. There we go. So it's kind of hiding down here. So you can see we've got like Linux, Mac, some other stuff. We're just looking for the Xmrig Windows 64. So I'm going to click on that. Now on the top right-hand corner, you might, it's kind of cut off right here in the screen, but it is saying, hey, this is potentially unsafe material. So I'm just going to click on keep. Now it's saying, well, are you sure you want to keep it? Yes, I want to keep it. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and open. Now we've got Xmrig right here, and I don't know if my camera's going to focus any better. Probably not, because it's like a camera to computer here. So it's probably really crappy visual. But we've got our Xmrig files. Now we're going to extract those files. You can put them wherever you want. And now I've got my files. Now when you open up this folder, I'm going to close that. When I open up this folder, this is basically all the miner files. We see the Xmrig down here at the very bottom, and then you've got a bunch of different little bat files and sys files and things like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back over to unMineable here. I'm going to shrink this for a second. We can go ahead and copy all of our code. So I'm just going to click on copy there. And I'm going to bring back my Xmrig folder. I'm going to edit the start bat file. So it's a start file. You can right click. If you're in Windows 11, it's edit in Notepad. And you can see it's got like some default. I'll actually move this over here. Okay. Okay. If I can get it to move. There we go. Okay, so we've kind of got this like default stuff. I'm just going to paste the stuff that came from unMineable, and I'm just going to go File, Save. Okay, and you're going to see what it's saying is, you're going to be, mining to unMineable port 33333. We're doing LTC. That's what we're going to get paid in. And here's our Litecoin wallet address with our worker name, so on and so forth. Okay, so you can go ahead and close that. Now I'm going to go ahead and right click on this and run as administrator. This is going to say, are you sure you want to run this file as an administrator? It's going to prompt up yes. We can go ahead and do this. Now, here's a good, troubleshooting thing for us. It's saying, sorry, it's not recognized. And when we look at this, we have to copy our entire directory here. So for me, it's like C users Eric download blah, blah, blah. And we have to put that in front of, I can bring this over here a little bit. Like I said, this looks, to me, it looks blurry as frick on this phone, which is an iPhone 14, but hopefully you can kind of see what's going on because I'm not doing this again. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and file save. We put in the full directory address. We'll close that out. We'll try running it again. Run as administrator right here. We'll see if it'll run. And yes. Okay, we now have life. All right, so what we're looking for here is, that this miner is just firing up. So I don't know, maybe I can zoom in a little bit and be a little better. Okay, now you can see right now it's saying we've already got 1 share accepted. Okay, it kind of tells us what everything's going on here. So everything is running as it should be. Now, once this, and I can hear the fan on the CPU firing up. You probably can't hear that here. But one thing is I'm going to bring this over here, is we now see our CPU. If you're using like NZXT Cam or anything else like that, you're going to see your CPU load go way up. You know, you're going to be at 100%. I would recommend monitoring your temperature on your CPU. I have not seen my CPU go above 75 degrees while I'm running this, but obviously don't let it get too hot. You know, we don't want to be frying anything. Now your CPU should have some like auto turn off and thermal throttling and all this other stuff. But, you know, if you don't, I would just spend a little while and watching this and checking your temperature. You know, let me back out of this a little bit, you know, so you can see both. So you can see that the temperature is now 72. We've now got 7 shares accepted. And I think that this will probably creep up to like 74, 75 degrees in total. So we're officially mining Monero and getting paid in Litecoin at unMineable. And we've already got 7 shares accepted. And now, if you ever want to check on your status, obviously you may not want to, you know, always just check on your computer. Maybe your computer that you're mining to is in the basement like mine, or you've got it somewhere else, or you're at work and you want to see how your stuff is going. We'll go take a look at that upstairs on the computer, which is a much nicer visual layout and probably audio for you guys. All right, so this is how you start to finish, download, configure, and get mining going at unMineable for Monero and getting paid in Litecoin. You can get paid whatever you want. I'm just choosing Litecoin here, okay? Okay, so now we're back upstairs, better audio with my microphone here. And we just popped over to unMineable. We are right there on the home page here, and I can get rid of that. And we're just right on the home page. So what we need to do is click on address. Now I've got my Litecoin address already put in here, and I've already put in my Litecoin address. And basically what it's showing is, we've got these tabs down here. We've got live, workers, payments. So what we do is we click on workers, and we can now see, you know, we had a dip down here because I turned off the miner for purposes of getting everything reset. And now we fired it back up, and you can see our speed is at 6.8 kilohash per second. Now this will eventually settle, and you can see down here on unMineable, it does say it will stabilize after an hour of continuous mining. And since we've only been mining since I started this video, you know, I've been recording and editing for maybe about an hour so far. You can see it's starting to stabilize, but it will get into like an 8.5-ish range. And so you can kind of check on the status. Well, how am I doing? You know, with my speed, is it on? Is it off? And keep in mind, unMineable does also have an app that you can install on your phone and see the status of your mining as well. Now, if you do have other workers working, so maybe you've got a miner doing Nexapow or Carlson hash, it'll kind of put those together. You know, you can just click on these other algorithms and see how things are. But for me, I'm just doing the CPU mining Monero, and that's all I've got cooking. But you can kind of see, you know, you can see all of your workers at unMineable on one dashboard, which is really, really nice. Now, the other thing to keep in track of is your payments. You know, so you can see I've been getting paid out every day, you know, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Normally it's in the morning for me here in Wisconsin, like late morning-ish, I think I get paid. And, you know, I'm paid every day, you know, roughly 30 cents here or so. Okay. So that is how the dashboard works. I think it's a very nice dashboard. And by the way, you know, you can click on the light or dark mode, whatever you prefer. I prefer dark just because it's easier on my old eyes. So this is how you see, is your miner on? How is it performing? and make sure that you give it at least an hour to kind of settle. Now, the ultimate question is, are we making any money? And the chances are good that the answer is still no. And how we find that out is to come back to hash rate. And instead of looking at the generic CPUs, we actually kind of come down to, there should be like a calculator here. And we come over to the coin calculator. All right. And really all we're going to do is select our coin, which we're looking for, I think, Monero. Select on that. Now we know what our kilohash rate is, right? We know that we're doing about 8.5. You know, it's a little bit higher, a little bit lower, you know, depending on the time, but that's kind of my average. And I have a Govee plug on that computer, so I know I'm exactly at 165 watts. So we know that our revenue, and I'm at 15 cents per kilowatt hour, right? So over here is telling us, okay, your revenue is 30 cents a day. Your cost with power is actually 60 cents a day. So I'm actually losing about 30 cents a day right now mining Monero. Now, you may ask yourself, well, you know, geez, why are you doing it? Because as I've stated many times before, this is a fun hobby for me. I enjoy doing it because it's just, I like to tinker. And maybe someday some of this crypto will be worth something. Who knows? Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. I don't know. But I have fun and I enjoy doing it in small bits. I don't have fun if there were like zeros behind here. So if I was losing like, I don't know, $3 a day in power or profits or whatever, or $30 a day, I'm sure I would not be doing this. This isn't something that you're going to lose money at, because then you're just better off just buying Litecoin or Bitcoin or whatever else on an exchange and not mining it, right? That's why people always say, well, why don't you just buy the damn coin? Well, this is exactly why you just buy the coin, because you're losing money mining, but you just don't have fun buying the crypto. And I'm sure maybe you can have fun doing something else, but I enjoy tinkering and that's why I do it. So we can see that we're still losing money, even though that Monero has hit all-time highs. And there is some other things that we can do. If you remember in the beginning of the video, you know, it did say, well, our CPU could hit like 10.3 for a hash rate, right? So at maximum, you know, profits, we could be making, instead of 31 cents a day, 37 cents a day. So if I really, really wanted to spend a lot of time tinkering with the settings of the memory, tinkering with the settings of the processor, I could make, you know, like another 6 cents a day. And it's not worth my time. You know, I have other stuff going on. It just isn't worth my time to deal with that for 6 cents a day. But if you did increase the frequency, you know, on your RAM, if you I'm sure that you saw that my stock like 2400 megahertz was the default there. You know, it should be like 3000 or 3100 or something like that. And that gets a little bit more performance out of your CPU. But I'm not going to spend my time, nor am I going to make a video on that, on how to get an extra 6 cents a day out of your processor. So this is where we're at the end of the day with our Monero mining. We're making 30 cents a day. We're spending 60 cents a day in power. Thus, we're losing basically, you know, 30 cents a day right now. All right. So I hope that this video was somewhat helpful for you. So for those of you who have cheaper power than me, maybe you just have a really nice processor sitting around. And since Monero is at all-time highs, you may be able to take advantage of that right now and mine some Monero, get paid in Monero, get paid in dog with hat or whatever else that you want to get paid in. Litecoin is my coin of preference just because of the low thresholds for payout and things like that. And I hope that is helpful, because I know that a lot of times people aren't really sure how can I get mined in one thing? How can I mine one thing and get paid in another thing? So I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions about any of the setup instructions, maybe you run into an issue with your setup, feel free to post those questions below. And as usual, you know, this information is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not financial advice. So until next time, peace.